Good morning. Welcome in 6:45, January 7th, 2022, first safety meeting of 2022. Here we go. Another year. So this week's code of conduct is to maintain respectful behavior whenever one is working, driving a company vehicle, or wearing the company logo. You're always representing this company. So it's a very good code item to remember this week, especially out there driving a lot. Again, we put a lot of miles on. We do get complaints from time to time, so it's very important that we try to remind ourselves to always drive safely, defensively, and courteously, and trying to have respectful behavior when we are in and around the public. Again, we are always representing ECI, and we want to have our image to be outstanding with the population. Is there anything to add to that, Ken, that you want to add?
Oh, I think you covered it there.
Okay, excellent. So another 7 days without a recordable. Actually, it's been 14 days since we didn't have a safety meeting last week. So with a day count going into the construction or the 2022 season is 39 days without a recordable. Again, a good goal would be 0 for the whole 2022. So it's going to take a massive effort. Again, we ended up only having 3 in 2021. So the proof's kind of in the pudding that I think if we, really work together and we really eliminate those unsafe acts and unsafe conditions, I got a feeling one of these years we're going to do it. So my mission to everyone out there is to try our best to not have a workplace injury this year. So let's try to work together. And again, it's a simple equation: unsafe acts, unsafe conditions. If we can really think before we act out there, I think we might be able to do it. So let's try it. Put our best foot effort, best or our best foot forward. So this week, a lot of news has came out the last couple of weeks regarding COVID. If you've been following the news, we've had a lot of positive cases here in Vermont. I think yesterday they recorded over 2,000 new cases. However, with that doom and gloom news, I know we're all kind of dealing it with close contacts with household. Is the school's going to be open, daycare stuff, but we are starting to see some good news of the restrictions are starting to loosen up. So as the virus has mutated into a kind of a less severe strain, we're starting to see now that mandatory requirement of being isolated or in quarantine for 10 days has now shifted to 5 days. So what that means is I kind of broke it into 3 easy categories for us to follow. If we test positive, it's an automatic 5 days at home. If you're asymptomatic or your symptoms have subsided, you're allowed to come back to work, but you have to follow a strict masking requirements around others for additional 5 days to get to that 10 days. So again, that day 1 is the day that you test positive. So that's kind of where it starts. If you're vaccinated and it's considered a close contact, you're able to remain at work and you wear a mask around others for 10 days. If we can get a test, we can test on day 5. If symptoms develop, that's when we go home. If you start to not feel normal, you're starting to have either fever, cough, runny nose, anything like just don't feel quite right, let's act on it. Let's stay home and let's try to get a test. If you're unvaccinated right now, it is automatic quarantine. You stay home for 5 days. If asymptomatic after 5 days, you're able to return to work and continue to wear a mask around others for additional 5 days. Again, try to test on day 5 if testing is available. Currently, testing is tricky, but however, with our partnership at Champlain Medical, we've been able to kind of streamline that and get tests readily available for ECI employees. So with that in mind, contact health and safety if you have any further questions, but that's kind of our updated program. According to the AGC of Vermont, this is going to be sticky. It sounds like this is going to be in place for a little bit longer, and hopefully come springtime, we might see these restrictions go away completely. That's the hope and goal. But it's going to take us to really continue to mitigate our exposures to others regarding COVID-19 infections. So that's all I have on that topic. Ken, if you have anything to add, feel free. If not, take it away.
No, I'm good. I think we'll be hearing a lot about this in the coming weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely infecting us all at this point in time. So.
Yep. Okay, I'll take over. Okay, can you see my screen?
Looks like it's loading. Yep, there it is.
Weekend, yep.
All right. So for announcements this week, I got a few of them, some and a couple older ones, but congratulations first to Marty Rabtoy for promotion to the Concrete Field Operations Manager. And also note that I got some other promotions to announce in the coming weeks. And safety meetings, of course, are now at 6:45 because it is winter. It doesn't even get light for a while here. The days are getting longer though. I think that we're up to something like 10 minutes longer, and it's going to start accelerating, so that's great news. So fuel cards are in. These are new fuel cards. Check with Sarah to exchange your old ones. The old ones weren't always working as we hoped because of a card, the chip reader versus some of the readout machines don't take the chip reader for some reason nowadays. And these have all just the magnetic strip. And cold nights are here. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but make sure you're treating with diesel fuel supplement, the white container. I left this notice here on the email because I'm very proud of it that ECI employees donated $20,157.78 to local charities for the end of 2021. That money went to the UVM Medical Cancer Foundation, Make-A-Wish of Vermont, Vermont National Guard Charitable Foundation, and the Mike Lawyer Classic Foundation. So all great charities, and we're really proud. I'm assuming that we'll have probably some virtual, presentations of checks to these different groups in the coming weeks. So on the sad note about 2021, there were several people who passed, either former and one current employee passed in 2021. And last week we found out of the passing. We knew he was in hospice, but Mark Mashtier, he was a former employee and also the father of Jacob. So they're saddened there. I don't have a obituary yet, but there's a picture of Mark with Jacob in the background. And of course, Walter Knox was a current employee when he passed away this summer or fall, and his obituary is there. Ralph Burns was a former employee who had retired probably 10 years ago, roughly. He is the uncle of Scott Burns. And Carl Lockerbie, who passed away this summer, he's a former employee who was from Isle of Mont and living in upstate New York since his retirement. And a long-term employee of ECI. He was one of the initial first employees, and he left, I'd say, probably 8 or so years ago. But on a happier note, we have quite a few births to announce for 2021. We have Lucas Piper, that's Adam and Megan's child, and he was born on the 22nd of February. Looks like he's pretty excited about Halloween there. And then here's a recent one. This is Maze Ryan Borbo. That's Dan and Chasey's son or daughter, and that she was born on 12/9 or December 9th, just before the holidays. And we have Isla Lorraine Forcier. That's Dave and Marissa's daughter, and she was born on September 19th. And we have Rosalind Therese Pratt, Chico and Angela's child, and she was born on April 11th, and she's here with dad and older son Eddie, older brother, I should say, Eddie, son of Chico and Angela. And just for comments, please forgive me if I missed your 2021 baby or even grandbabies. You forward me a photo and I'll include it next week if I did. And I want to kind of see if we can boost production next year or this coming year in 2022. Hey, what are you laughing about there, Matt? You're one of the eligible
That's great.
dads.
That's great, Ken. That's great.
Congratulations to everybody. Pretty exciting. They're adorable kids, and it'll be a great, lot of fun, a handful probably effort, but worth every moment of it. And we hope they'll all be ECI employees someday. So here's the link to the YouTube link to the slideshow if you're interested. The primary care wellness program here, I've left it on as I have throughout the weeks. A couple things I want to mention is that there was some misinformation about the program. One that I don't think was misinformation, that it's free. The company pays for it. There's really no cost unless you go beyond the services or lab services. You know, it's the basic healthcare, primary healthcare service from Champlain Medical. If they have to do a certain level of higher level lab test, if they send you to a specialist or anything like that, MRIs and those kind of things, that's additional cost, but they would have good ways of finding good valued programs for that. But the misconception I understand is that I think it came from their side, is that you have to change over them to be the primary, but it's really, if you already have a primary, it's meant to supplement what you have. Certainly they become a primary, I would say, but we can get some clarification in the coming weeks when Beth is coming to present more on this. But the way I understand, they would be kind of a primary if you don't have a primary, and they don't, and it supplements your primary, and also it supplements your healthcare insurance programs, whether it's from ECI or from outside ECI. So no reason not to do it. And the other thing is it's flexible. So if your situation is unique, I'm sure everyone can figure out a way to have it of value for you. So for weather outlook, certainly back to winter here. Some light snow in the forecast, and some very cold at the beginning of the coming week. Let's see, this forecast is showing -6 Monday night, doesn't go beyond Monday night, but several crews I think have already considered some changes to their work on Monday and Tuesday. If you haven't thought about it, then you certainly should, because it's going to be not just cold, it's going to be relatively windy. So, I think work might not be very effective. Running equipment would be hard. Getting it started would be hard. So, we need to think about this later today with the crew leaders to make sure we got a good plan going into Monday morning when we arrive and it's that 6 below and 20-mile-an-hour winds or something. So we talked about the COVID. I'll update this a little bit next week. Then for the project of the week, we're going to talk about the Gates Farm covered bridge repairs, and that's in Cambridge. You've probably seen this bridge as you go towards the wrong way bridge and make that turn across the river. You look out into the field there to the north, to the north, but it's probably not to the north. It's straight ahead if you're heading towards Jeffersonville. That's where the bridge is, out in a farmer's field. So ECI was contracted with VTrans to perform repairs to the Gates Farm covered bridge in Cambridge. The work was completed in early December. And I said the bridge is located east, it is, of the main village of Cambridge on a farm property to the south side of Route 15. It is orientated east-west across the Seymour River, a tributary of the Lamoille, which the roadway roughly parallels. The bridge is a single-span Burr arch truss. It's 82.5 feet long, 19.5 feet wide. It's covered by a gabled metal roof and rests on concrete abutments. The exterior is clad in vertical board siding, which stops short of the eaves, leaving an open strip at the top for ventilation. And the siding extends across the portals and a short way to the interior. The deck is made of hardwood planking. So our scope of work was to construct new pile caps, concrete pile caps at one end of the bridge. We effectively extended the depth of the pile caps there. at one end of the bridge, and then level the existing bridge to match the deck to the existing back wall because of the settlements that had happened. Kind of distorted it a little bit, and replaced some siding that had buckled from the settlement of the bridge, and replaced some of the 4x12 red oak deck planks, and then some type 2 stone fill to stabilize the bank of this of the Seymour Brook around the pile caps. This shows you the the settlement that had happened to the deck because of the underlying foundation movement. And this is under the bridge, and there's a pile there starting to decay, and then a pile cap which had tilted, causing some of that movement. Here's the contract drawings which show a cross section here, and the new work is the block at the bottom of the existing block. So you see it's continuing to be supported by piles, and it's just an extension to protect that pile down to a greater depth and to allow everything to be jacked back to a true position. We had a jacking plan, and this is a sketch of the jacking plan. We just blocked off the repaired pier, the repaired pile cap, and lifted it back into place, then shimmed it off. And then, oops, too far here. Mouse isn't working like I quite want it to. I'll bring it up. A little bit of response time problem. There we go. So this is the existing pile cap, and there's some rebar in place. There's some little jacking shoring post in there to support that, and there's a pile that goes through there that's a little hard to see. And there's the completed pile cap with the originals above, and then there's also a tie rod attached to the originals to hold the bridge down in case of a flood event. Those are replaced too. And then they jacked it up, and you can see that they brought that the deck right into the back wall elevation, nice and true. Some siding improvements where you can see how the settlement would have buckled that siding there, and also on that little flap that goes over the pile cap. And then there's a few siding boards that were changed out. And then this shows the completed work with a riprap along the little river there, the Seymour. And a little on the bridge history. It was built by George Holmes in 1897 as one of only 9 surviving burr trusses in Vermont. It was originally known as the Little Covered Bridge. It was originally located several hundred feet downstream, carrying Route 15 near the longer Cambridge Covered Bridge across the Moyle. And it was moved to its present location in 1950 when they rebuilt all the bridges there. And it's listed on the National Historic Register of Historic Places in 1974. The longer covered bridge, which was its sister bridge, was moved to and became the Shelburne Museum Covered Bridge. So I didn't know that. That was pretty cool. And about the Burr Arch Truss design, the Burr Arch Truss is a hybrid structure with an arch attached to a multi-king post truss. So more of a traditional truss with an arch on the outside. The combination provides significantly greater capacity and rigidity. And you see there's the arch there in the center, and the king post truss framed out around it. So pretty cool design, and it's a unique bridge nowadays. It used to there used to be quite a few of them, but many are left.
Hey Ken, can I chime in on a historical note?
Yes, absolutely.
So my understanding, just anecdotally, is that when 15 was rerouted back in the 50s, they cut off a portion of this private property, and the farmers, or the grandfather, I guess, or their father, the current farmer, said, "Hey, well, I got to get to my land if you're going to move 15." So they said, "Okay, well, we'll give you this little bridge that we're moving. Is that a deal?" And he said, "Well, as long as you maintain it in perpetuity, that's the deal." So that's why VTrans is paying us to fix a bridge on private property.
Right. Good point, Ben. Yep. Yeah, it is VTrans' responsibility because of that that land acquisition and whatever, and the rerouting of the highway that, you know, put a hardship on the owner of the farm. So, okay, thanks. And then for the archives, I have a picture of a pedestrian tunnel portal, which we constructed back in January of 2005 along the NECR at North Walpole. So this was a little structure, made me, the bridge made me recall this little project here. So there's a portal on each side of the tunnel. It's a little pedestrian tunnel goes underneath the tracks in North Walpole. So that's what I got. And thank you, Matt, and everybody have a safe day out there. Remember to be thinking about next week's cold weather. Safe day out there.
Yep. Thank you, Ken. Be safe out there. Let me know if
Okay.
you need me.
Yep. See you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.